Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg. This is week 15 of my 100 book challenge, where I have challenged myself to read 100 books that I already own before buying another book. It is rather a gloomy, dreary day here in Virginia. This is not the kind of day where I want to go outside and walk and show off the scenery, so you get to see my rainy backyard from my sun deck. At least it's not too cold today. Well, let's see what I get read this week. I have finished my 75th book, The 7% Solution by Nicholas Meyer. This is a Sherlock Holmes pastiche, originally published in 1974. It is under the auspice of the editor Nicholas Meyer finding a box that was secluded in his house. That was a typescript of John Watson speaking about a Sherlock Holmes adventure that he could only then speak of when he was a very old man and Sherlock Holmes had passed away, because there was another famous figure involved in the story that had just passed away also. So you get this whole idea that Nicholas Meyer is only the editor. But this is the story of Sherlock Holmes' addiction to cocaine. And it's talked about a bit briefly in the Sign of the Four, where you learn that Sherlock Holmes does take cocaine intravenously. And it's sort of just sloughed off in this series. He says he was addicted to cocaine, and later in the series, he's no longer addicted to cocaine. This author focuses very heavily that, cocaine addiction, especially intravenous cocaine addiction, is rather serious. And it's just sort of dropped in the Sherlock Holmes stories. So this one deals with how Sherlock Holmes got off his cocaine addiction. And it also features Professor Moriarty from the very famous The Final Problem story, where Sherlock Holmes supposedly dies. And this gives that story a whole new twist. And you'll just have to read about that to find it out. I really like this book. This comes very close to a rave review, and it maybe is a rave review because I really like this book. As I said, the first part is about Holmes' cocaine addiction, and then it shifts gear where it turns into a sort of a regular Sherlock Holmes mystery where Holmes has to solve something. My only beef with this book is that Nicholas Meyer was a scriptwriter. He later went on to write the Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and his script writing, storytelling skills kind of show at the end of this book. There is a scene that would fit very nicely in a movie, but I just did not think it worked well in a Sherlock Holmes novel. But that's the only fault that I can find with this. If you like Sherlock Holmes stories, I think you'll really enjoy this book. I have finished my 76th book, Circe, by Madeline Miller. I read this for my in-person book group, which will be meeting in next week, so I got it done a bit early. This is a story told by Circe. She is the daughter of the Greek god Hellas. And it is told in sort of ancient Greek mythology, the past. And now Circe is a nymph. She's not a goddess, but she's of the gods, which makes her not immortal. It gets all kind of confusing about whether you're half mortal or pure mortal or god or demigod or nymph. All sorts of beings inhabit this book. Well, Circe gets in trouble with her father because she does something to another nymph because she fell in love with a god that Circe was in love with. And it turned out that Circe was a witch. The god she fell in love with, was once a man, a mortal man. But through her witchery, she turned him into a god. And so she had to take vengeance against Scylla, who she turned into a sea monster. And Scylla features very heavily in the Odyssey by Homer. Odysseus encounters Scylla. And so that's what Circe got exiled to an island on. And then she actually meets Odysseus. I like this book. This is really almost women's fiction, actually, more than Greek mythology, because it deals a lot with women's empowerment, which actually I'm going to be discussing later, because this is also a banned book in Orange County, Florida. And I want to do a whole video on why this book got banned. I don't know. That's why I have to discuss it. And how I rate this? I definitely give this a positive review. I know some booktubers. It's getting towards dusk on Sunday evening, and sadly, the wasted weekend, Garbogust 2.0, is coming to an end. It is the event created by Criminali as an event to hold you over until the real Garbogust starts in August. And the whole idea of the wasted weekend is to read a trashy book. You only really have to read one trashy book, but I read two. Last month I put up a video giving my viewers some options of some books that I could read for the wasted weekend, and they got to vote. And I would read the book with the most votes, which I did. There also was a three-way tie for second place, and I had enough time to choose a second book to read for the wasted weekend. So I made an executive decision and chose on that three-way tie for my second book. But my 77th book for the 100 book challenge was The Origin of the Crabs by Guy N. Smith, originally published in 1979. This is the third in his series of giant crab books. It's not a whole lot different from the other two. Giant crabs come out of the water and attack and eat people. They're about as big as a cow. Now, what's interesting in this one is they are on a Scottish loch. And apparently in the Scottish loch, there is an underground cave to the sea. And that's how the crabs got into the loch. There's also some throwaway lines about the origin of the crabs. How did these crabs become giant mutant killers? This book was written in 1979. Can anyone guess what made them giant and mutant? Could it be radiation? Well, anyway, the characters in this book, kind of thin. The attack scenes, you got some good crab attack scenes. But overall, this is just middle of the road for his giant crab books. The first book was really excellent, but the second and third in this series have just been okay. But you know, it's a book about giant crabs, so you're getting what you pay for, which I paid about $5 for this edition, which is now going for about 50 or 40 bucks on the internet. Also interesting, this book really doesn't end. It just sort of peters out. I think it's supposed to be concluded in the next book, the fourth, Crab's Moon, which unfortunately I don't own because, again, that book is like 50 bucks. And I'm not paying 50 bucks for a giant crab book, however entertaining. And my second book for the Wasted Weekend, book 78, is The Big Kill by Mickey Spillane, hard-boiled detective Mike Hammer. And you know, I just have to read this first paragraph. It is one of those nights when the sky comes down and wrapped itself around the world. The rain clawed at the windows of the bar like an angry cat and tried to sneak in every time some drunk lurched in the door. The place reeked of stale beer and soggy men with enough cheap perfume thrown in to make you sick. That's the Spillane style, and that's what you get in this book. In this, you start off in this dive bar in New York City. Mike Hammer notices a man come into the bar with an infant. He sets the infant on the counter, orders himself a drink or two, kisses the infant, and then leaves the bar with the infant inside. Mike Hammer is curious and steps outside to follow, and the man is gunned down. Of course, Mike Hammer pulls out his .45 and shoots at the gunners, kills one, car gets away, and runs over the man who was shooting at the man who left the baby. That's the setup. And you know, Mike Hammer kind of pissed that a man would leave a baby in a bar and then get gunned down. That's not fair. And that sets off his investigation. Yeah, he takes the baby home and throws it to someone else to take care of, and you rarely hear about this baby throughout the book. It's all about Mike Hammer chasing down the villains, and of course, there are dames in this book. You gotta have dames in a Mike Hammer book. And I say dame, and I know it's an outmoded term for women, but you know, it's 1951 when this book was published, and all the women are dames. Gotta love it, gotta hate it. It's pure trash. Mickey Spillane was a huge author back in 1951 with all the American servicemen coming back from World War II, and he was just wildly popular. And his books, I mean, they're trash, but you gotta love them. Okay, that's a wrap for week 15. Onward to week 16. I really want to pick up my pace if I can. I'm still on schedule to finish in 20 weeks, but I am going to Mexico next month, which is going to be right towards the part where I'm finishing up, and I want to get that done. I also have a mammoth I need to read for the 100 book challenge because I don't think I'm going to finish in time before I start that mammoth. So next week, I'm aiming for 7 books, which means reading some short books, some novellas, and maybe a play or two. Well, anyway, thank you for watching, and keep on reading.